The Twitter account believed to be Villanova's Donte DiVincenzo's has been deleted after offensive posts surfaced from when DiVincenzo was in high school. DiVincenzo's tweets dating back to 2011 overshadowing his career-high 31-point night that led the Wildcats to their second national championship in 3 seasons. The school released a statement after the game saying that the tweets were not DiVincenzo's and disregard any false tweet. Soon after, Villanova retracted the statement, and as of late Monday night, the school has yet to comment on the situation. For more on this, here's First Take.
Not good, not good, not good, fellas. So Villanova's Final Four hero taking some heat for some old social media posts on Twitter that contain several tweets using the N-word and other derogatory terms for gay people. Stephen A., is the criticism of DiVincenzo fair or foul?
It's very foul. And let me be the first to say, there's moments like this where I'm ashamed to be a part of this industry. So let me get this straight.
Okay.
This dude is spewing lyrics from a Meek Mill rap song about Derrick Rose when he was 14 years old. And 7 years later, on the night that he wins the most outstanding player award for a sensational performance in a national championship game, now we bring that up. See, it's moments like this where when folks generalize and they say stuff like the media this and the media that, you know what? It's moments like this where I don't blame them. This is a disgrace. Now, clearly, I'm not advocating the use of the N-word. Let's not be hypocrites here. There's folks in my community, myself included, who have used it on many occasions in the past. And obviously, that's something that we have to veer away from. There's youngsters out there who shouldn't be using the word so loosely. We get all of that. We should be eradicated from language. Like John Wooten said, I get all of that. But the reality of the situation is the world that we're living in, particularly with the music and the lyrics that accompany it, it's something that happens. This kid is 14 years old at the time, 7 years ago. And on the night that he wins the national championship and wins the most outstanding player of the year, the outstanding player of the tournament award, okay, you're going to bring this up then. Judging him as an adult, not remembering that he was a kid, not remembering that it was just 7 years ago. We want to throw that out, but we want to treat him and hold him accountable on arguably the greatest night of his life. There are moments in time where we have to sit up here and ask ourselves, are we more interested in making headlines or are we more interested in being a decent human being? This kid did not deserve that. I could have known about the tweet, and I am a black man, and I would never ask him that question, particularly in that moment. It's a level of cruelty and just a lack of humanity that comes into the equation when you see somebody willing to do something like that to this kid. It is foul as it gets. It's disgraceful. And as far as I'm concerned, listen, don't do it again, DiVincenzo. Don't make that mistake again. But in the same breath, I'm not going to sit up there and use the night that this man wins a national championship game as a 21-year-old to hold him accountable for something that he spewed off of a rap album 7 years earlier. It's just ridiculous. It really is.
The criticism is not fair, and it's not just because of the timing. It's because of the clickbait culture in which we live. The headline's going to be that Donte drops N-bombs, right? But you have to read what actually happened. I mean, this could be seen as a cautionary tale for young people on social media to understand that even if you talk a certain way in your private life or beyond that, whatever you put on social media is not private. It's going to live forever out there in the ether. It's going to live forever. So consider what you are making public. Now, the question is here, what is he making public? Because, again, the headline's going to be Donte DiVincenzo and N-bomb. Okay, he was quoting a lyric, as Stephen A., you mentioned. And we have to make a distinction here about which N-bomb is he dropping, the A or the ER. Because if a white person is using the N with the ER out of anger to mean a racial slur, that is different than someone quoting a rap lyric, for example, where it's N with an A. The difference is, on the one hand, you're a racist or you're engaging in racist behavior, and that is to be condemned, and it is, one of the third rails of American life, and it should be. And the other, the N with the A, really indicates a white kid, who feels too entitled and too comfortable, maybe, and is therefore using language, especially publicly, that he shouldn't. That is the lesson here. That's the teaching moment. Hey, you feel a little too entitled to this language, which is, should be out of bounds for you, even if it's not meant in a racist way. And by the way, you're also making it public. Now, the other words he used that indicate, homophobia, young men, young kids, guys sometimes do feel that way, and at other times are using it loosely as a sort of derogatory term without really considering why it's considered derogatory, that you're really putting down an entire group of people. And so I agree with you, Stephen A. He was 14 years old at the time. He's 21 now, and he didn't appear to mean his use of the words is not the worst use of those words. And so that should all be understood, but it is a cautionary tale. Kids, what you put on social media is public, not private.
Well, let's be clear. Number one, a lot of white folks come up with the argument, the A as opposed to the strong ER. I got news for you. Most black people that hear that word, if it's coming from somebody outside of their community, they don't decipher the difference between the two in most instances. We just hear it, and it is what it is. It depends on how it depends on in what context it's being used. If you're spitting rap lyrics and stuff like that, it might be a little bit different than you're having a conversation. He was spitting, rap lyrics. That's something that's important to point out. But more importantly than that, again, it happened 7 years ago when the kid was 14. So, yes, it's a cautionary tale for youngsters out there to watch what they put on social media and all of this other stuff. I get that. But what about the grown adults who knew that it was 7 years ago? Who knew that he was 14 years of age and would still use this as an excuse on a night that this man wins the national championship game to come at him with this? You trying to tell me no one knew about this before the man won the most outstanding player award for the national championship game? I beg to differ with that kind of thinking. I'm quite sure it was knowledge. Somebody had knowledge of it before then. It's just an exercise of cruelty as far as I'm concerned, and it's something that needs to be pointed out because we've got adults here that have different agendas.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's another cautionary tale to build you up than break you down.
Yeah, right, exactly, which people like. But the timing of it is curious, I agree. Stephen A., the reason I make the distinction between the A and the ER, meaning, hey, white kid who likes rap, you're being overly comfortable and entitled to use slang that you really shouldn't, versus, hey, white person who is meaning this as an intimidating and threatening racist insult. The reason there is a difference there is because it speaks to intention. And when this is dug up, what you're really doing by putting it out there is saying, hey, look, this kid who just was the most outstanding player, he touched the third rail of American life. The idea is he came down on the wrong side of a racial issue and a gender or sexual preference issue. And those are the two third rails. Don't do it. And even if that's not his intention, it was sort of served up in the media as, look, bad kid. And I think that is what you're reacting to. And I agree with that largely. In other words, it's not just the timing of it, but it's the presentation of it as though it means something that in fact he did not intend.
I am saying to you that if you are an African American, if you are a black man or woman, and you hear that word coming out of the mouth of somebody who is not from your community, sometimes the intent isn't even measured. The fact that you even hear that word, you're going to react a certain way. Well,
no,
again,
but it's
what
a
I'm
hard,
saying to you,
fast rule. I think if you're not black, you don't say it, no matter A or ER. Am I correct, Stephen A?
Right.
If you're not black, don't touch it.
Max, you're answering a question you ain't qualified to answer, my brother. I'm telling you how it's received.
I understand, but that is my point. Once you report that, no one's going to dig, or very few will dig to look at intention. People will simply see, in this case, red.
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
Stephen A., I appreciate you giving the context, though, the song lyrics and all of that, because a lot of us just saw that clickbait headline there. Okay, that'll do it, guys. Tomorrow, we'll have full reaction to tonight's big matchup between the top two seeds in the East. Which team needs the #1 seed more? That's Thursday here on First Take. And the Rams are clearly all in for next season after yet another big offseason acquisition. But is the Brandon Cooks trade part of a flawed strategy in LA? Don't miss that discussion after the break.
Meet the new leader in off-road utility. Unmatched comfort and storage make it the hardest working, smoothest riding Ranger ever built. The all-new Polaris Ranger XP.